Hi, I'm Collin Anderson.
And I'm Alex Huerta.
I'm John Burke.
From Accounting 202, Group 15.
And our assignment was to analyze variances and potential causes of those variances through various companies.
And for our company, we chose Frito-Lay.
Before we tell you about our company's variances and their potential causes, we're going to give you a little bit of background information on how our product is made.
When producing potato chips, there are various steps that must occur in order to turn a raw potato into a potato chip. The finest quality of chips come from the freshest potatoes, so the potatoes must be no more than 24 hours old. Any older, and the chips begin to develop black spots. First, the potatoes must be cleaned of all dirt and other foreign objects. They are then transported down a water canal that rinses the potatoes and travels them to the peeler.
Once the potatoes are peeled, they are sorted by size. The smaller potatoes are left untouched, and the larger ones are cut down into smaller pieces. The potatoes are then rinsed again and brought to the slicer. The blades on the slicer are adjustable, allowing them to create chips with different shapes, such as ruffle chips. The raw potatoes are now starting to resemble the final product. After being dried, the potato slices are then fried in hot canola oil at 375 degrees for about 3 minutes.
They then travel on a conveyor belt, allowing for all excess oil to drip off. At the end of the conveyor belt, the chips are then salted. They are then seasoned to gain the desired flavor. Once fully flavored, the chips are weighed to the desired amount and heat sealed into bags to create the final product ready for sale.
For our project, we focus on 4 main types of variances: direct materials price variance, direct materials efficiency variance, direct labor price variance, and direct labor efficiency variance.
We're going to start out with direct materials price variance. A price variance measures how well a company keeps unit prices of material and labor input within its standards. So the first factor of the equation is actual price per unit. Lay's pays about $12.90 for 100 pounds of potatoes. Each potato weighs roughly 5.3 ounces. So that comes out to about 3 potatoes for 1 pound. So when $12.90 is divided by 300 potatoes, it comes out to about 4.3 cents for each potato.
The next factor for price variances is standard cost. You can think of a standard cost as a budget for a single unit, or in other words, what you anticipated to pay. For our standard price per unit, we used last year's annual cost for potatoes. Last year, Lay's paid about $12.10 for 100 pounds of potatoes. Again, there's about 3 potatoes per pound. If you divide $12.10 by 300 potatoes, Lay's paid about 4 cents per potato last year as a standard cost.
Now that we have found the actual price per unit and standard price per unit, we can now find the direct materials price variance using the following equation. The equation is actual price per unit minus the standard price per unit times the actual quantity of input. So if they had 4.3 cents per potato minus 4 cents per potato times 300,000 potatoes, that would give them an unfavorable price variance of $9,000.
So the next variance that we're going to be talking about is the direct materials efficiency variance. This differs from a price variance because an efficiency variance measures whether the firm meets its quantity standards. The equation to find an efficiency variance is the actual quantity of input minus the standard quantity of input allowed for the actual number of outputs times the standard price per unit. For example, if Lay's were to have 300,000 potatoes and subtract 250,000 potatoes and multiply that times 4 cents per potato average, this comes out with an unfavorable direct materials efficiency variance of $2,000.
In addition to the direct materials price variance, we can also find the direct labor price variance. This is computed using the same formula. We take the actual price per unit minus the standard price per unit times the actual quantity of input. For example, if they had $11 per hour minus $10.50 per hour times 3,800 hours, that gives them an unfavorable direct labor price variance of $1,900.
Once again, these variances are very similar. Here we have the direct labor efficiency variance, which is the same equation as the direct materials efficiency variance. So you take the actual quantity of input, subtract that by the standard quantity of input allowed for the actual number of outputs. Then you multiply that by the standard price per input unit, and that gives you the efficiency variance. In this case, which we worked out before, we take 3,800 hours, subtract that by 4,000 hours, then multiply that by $10.50 per hour. That gives you a favorable direct labor efficiency variance of $2,100.
There are a few potential causes that would lead to a company having a favorable price variance. Obtaining direct materials or wages for below the standard price would allow the company to have a favorable price variance. An increase in demand would most likely lead to increasing the selling price of a product or service, which would also lead to a favorable price variance. Potential causes for an unfavorable price variance would include obtaining direct materials or wages for above the standard price. That would lead to an unfavorable price variance. Also, a decrease in demand would most likely lead to a decrease in the selling price of a product or service, which would lead to an unfavorable price variance.
Now we move on to potential causes of favorable efficiency variances. One factor that could lead to this is using less materials and hours than the standard. Also, paying workers less than the standard wage. This will allow you to achieve the same amount of productivity with less money paid. Another factor that can lead to this is intensity of labor effort. This will allow you to make more chips for the same amount of time, which will lead to favorable efficiency variances. Potential causes of unfavorable efficiency variances can include using more materials and hours than the standard, paying workers more than the standard wage, and unexpected compensation for work accidents.
There are many different factors that could contribute to a company's variances. Once a company identifies the causes that make the variance unfavorable, they can work to counteract these negative qualities and eventually achieve a favorable variance. Thank you for watching Group 15's presentation on analyzing variances. Remember that a positive variance helps make a successful company and should be the goal of financial planners everywhere.